This is Becoming a Professional Bass Player. My name's Deborah and this is the video journal of my career transition. And that was Another Star by Stevie Wonder. You played using my new bass synth pedal, the MXR, which has a Stevie Wonder setting. That's setting 2 on the green lights is the Stevie Wonder setting. Let me just turn all this off so I don't make too many noises. And played standing up today, so that Dan could see my plucking hand and what I'm doing there. I'm never quite sure why that's of interest, but then for a long while, I was never quite sure why the sound was of interest. And as I got deeper into the bass, sound became so much more important than songs. Songs was my first love, as I'm sure it is for many people. It was the songs I wanted to play. And only very recently, it became the sound I wanted to make as opposed to the notes. So it was the 2-year anniversary of Talking Low on Tuesday. And we had a bumper bunch of people, up to about, I think there was 20 bassists there on Archer Street and in the pub. Really great atmosphere. And I have to thank those guys and gals at the bass club, because without them, I wouldn't be here. It was because I went to Talking Low and I just thought, wow, I want to do this. And I want to do it full time. How on earth can I do it full time? That this whole journey started. They're such a supportive group of people. So while I was playing that, my last video, it was noted that I was collapsing my knuckles. So let me show you what I was doing with my fretting hand. I would normally, so for that Stevie Wonder song, let's turn the amp on again and show you the other hand. I would normally go, can you see my hands flat? Yeah. And Michael Mondesi said to me, no, your knuckles must be up like this. Like, he didn't use this term, but it makes me think of a tarantula typing. So that's much harder. If I can't flatten my knuckles, I have to move between those two frets, fretting those two strings. And that makes my life currently much more difficult. But apparently, if I stick with it, when I come to play faster and more intricate songs, that will make my sound much, much better. So I need to get into that discipline now. So that's what I was trying to do this morning when I played that Stevie Wonder song. So whatever I was doing with my plucking hand, I've no idea, Dan. What I was concentrating on was my fretting hand and making sure I kept my tarantula nice and buoyant. My knuckles weren't collapsed, and that I was playing each string individually. So, we'll see where I get to with that. That song is going to be played live on Saturday at the Boatyard in Leigh-on-Sea. I'm quite excited to be playing there. That's with Hot Milk. That's not a band that I run. I'm just the bass player in that one. But it's a big venue in Leigh-on-Sea. It's one that I've always wanted to play. And we needed some new songs. We didn't go with Cosmic Girl in the end. But that one will be on the agenda, so I'll be learning that and just making a few notes about the order. What else is happening? Well, actually, one of the things I was going to talk to you about today was vulnerability, which is sort of pertinent, obviously, not just to bass playing or being a musician, but to any walk of life. That I've been a bit poorly this week and feeling a bit wobbly, as I sometimes get, a bit unsure of myself. So I'm just stroking this hat that I was given this week by my friend Math, who's no longer with us. and I went round to help his daughter sort the house out, and I just saw this hat which looked so good on him. We had a fancy dress party and he came as the Mad Hatter, and it had peacock feathers in, and I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to take that as my memento, one of my mementos of maths. I'm just stroking it here as I'm telling you about feeling wobbly, but I have been feeling a bit wobbly this week, and it reminded me of the importance of vulnerability and risk in any endeavour, really. I'm starting to hand over my psychotherapeutic practice to other therapists. I'm not taking any new clients now. And I guess I feel a bit mixed about that. It's absolutely the right time. Every few months on this journey, another stretch is required, and that stretch might be more workload, or sometimes it's more give, or more giving things up, more things sacrificed in order to move on, in order to change. And I think of them as like tent pegs, you know, guy ropes on your, I'm just playing with the little peacock feathers here, guy ropes on your tent that, you know, you make a life for yourself and you secure it down with guy ropes, with tent pegs, you know, and those tent pegs, for example, with psychotherapy might be your qualifications, your network, your experience, your advertising of your services, your client base, your location and room that you work in. And gradually you can't move on from anything unless you're prepared to give up some of that security and take some of those tent pegs away. And stopping advertising as a psychotherapist, stopping being on counselling directory, these are big security blankets, big pieces of the puzzle that are gradually going. At first it wasn't so significant. It was working around the time I was already working, you know, so I'd see all of my clients and then I'd do a little bit of work on the base. But there is so much to do now and so much opportunity that even though it's not yet providing me with an income, I am needing to cut into that time with clients, to not take on any more, to stop advertising. So some really fundamental parts of being a therapist are coming to an end now, which is sometimes scary, you know. And then I really draw on my faith and also the work of Eckhart Tolle about consciousness and being in the now, and remember that nothing is certain. Nothing is certain, and we don't get any guarantees. And then I press on. And what I'm pressing on with this week is getting the banners out for our next show. So the tickets are on sale, and I did my first YouTube short yesterday, putting up something about Divine Funk. So you can go on and see that if you like. These are the banners from last time. And look, if you look really closely, that might be back to front for you, I don't know. But they've stuck over the top the new date and the new venue and the new where you buy your tickets, so that I can reuse them, which is both economically good and ecologically good. The posters need to go out. I've just had our press ad goes live in the Echo today. And also next week, our press ad goes live in the Oracle. So that goes to 14,000 homes. I can't remember how many homes the Echo gets, but I certainly know it's in every fish and chip shop I frequent. So it's all happening. Just got to trust the process, I think. You know, that's what I would hope my psychotherapeutic clients would do, to trust the process. That's what I've done as a therapist, and I think that is now what I have to do as a bass player, trust the process. And just put one foot in front of another. What needs to be done today? And what needs to be done today is to prepare for Saturday at the Boatyard. It'll be my first gig with my pedals. I'm going to take my amp as well because just in case, just in case anything goes wrong. And then Sunday, a rehearsal with Truly Red on the last 7 songs of the set, including my absolute fave Simply Red song, Come to My Aid, and Jericho. These are ones from the Picture Book album, so you don't hear them that often. And Come to My Aid is such a cool song. Really sort of militant and rise up, come to my aid. Yeah. So that's it. The change is happening. It's quite a while back since I could, turn back on the path. I remember this from going from marketing to becoming a psychotherapist, that there comes a point where you've got so far in you can't go back. And that for me on my new career change was reached quite a while ago. And I'm just at that midpoint now where I absolutely can't go back, and it's just a bit nerve-wracking sometimes, and I can't quite see the edge of the pool on the other side that I'm swimming towards, but I trust that it will be there. Right, you have yourself a good weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. I'll tell you how it went with Hot Milk on Saturday night. Yeah, bye.